Friends, the postman always rings twice. This is the name of the novel which, written by James M. Cain. The postman always rings twice. Then the same novel is published in 1934. So, The Postman Always Rings Twice by James M. Cain, published in 1934, tells the story of a drifter named Frank Chambers. In the first chapter, Frank arrives at a dinner called the Twin Oaks Tavern near Glendale, California. There he meets Nick, the Greek Papadakis, the dinner's proprietor, and Nick's wife, Cora. After Frank agrees to work in the dinner, Cora tells Frank that she hates Nick. Frank soon makes a pass at Cora, and the two begin an affair. After declaring their love for each other, Frank and Cora decide that the only way for them to be together is to kill Nick. Following their plan to murder Nick, Cora knocks Nick unconscious at the dinner, but a cop shows up and the dinner's lights go out before she can drown him as planned. Nick is rushed to the hospital with Cora and Frank, and he survives. The cop follows Frank back to the dinner, but he is satisfied that there was no attempt murder after seeing an electrocuted cat that had stepped on the dinner's fuse box. Shaken by what happened, Frank and Cora agreed not to try to kill Nick again. And they act like a couple for a week while Nick is in the hospital. They agree to run away together before he is released from the hospital. But Cora changes her mind and heads back to the dinner, leaving Frank on his own. Frank goes to San Bernardino where he plays pool for money. Once he thinks he has won enough money to start a new life with Cora, he goes back to Glendale. There he loses all of the money he earned in another pool game. Nick spots Frank and insists that he resume working at the dinner. Frank reluctantly agrees at first. Cora ignores Frank, but she eventually tells him that Nick wants to have a baby. Later, Frank, Cora, and Nick go on a day trip together. After getting himself and Nick drunk, Frank tells Cora to drive the car onto a bad stretch of highway on the pretext of visiting Malibu Beach. There, Frank clubs Nick to death with a wrench, pushes the car over the side of the cliff, roughs up Cora, has sex with Cora, and then climbs into the broken car to be discovered. Once Cora flags down help, Frank is taken to a hospital in an ambulance that also drops off Nick's body at morgue. Confirming for Frank that Nick is really dead, Cora identifies Nick's body at the subsequent inquest. During his testimony at the inquest, Frank lies about who drove the car on the day of the incident, and he claims that he was sober that day. Kyle Sackett, the district attorney, visits Frank at the hospital. Sackett doesn't fall for Frank's lies. He knows enough about Frank's background and history to intimidate Frank into signing a complaint against Cora that states she is responsible for the accident. Afterwards, a cop visits Frank and offers him the services of a lawyer named Cards. During the subsequent trial, Cards pleads guilty for Cora, and she tells the truth in a signed statement afterward. Frank is taken to Card's office where he finds out that Cora has been set free. Card's found a loophole in Nick's insurance policy to exploit, withdraw Cora's guilty plea, and got a judge to suspend her sentence for 6 months. Frank and Cora deposit the money from Nick's insurance policy before going to his funeral. When they return to dinner, Cora accuses Frank of betraying her. In response, Frank gets Cora drunk and has sex with her. For 6 months after the funeral, Frank and Cora routinely fight, get drunk, and make up when Cora's mother falls ill. Cora leaves the dinner to visit her. While Cora is gone, Frank takes a trip with a woman named Madge Allen, whom he meets at the dinner. Madge suggests that they go to Nicaragua to hunt pumas, but Frank decides to return to Cora because he is afraid that she will turn on him. After Cora returns, Kit's former associate Kennedy shows up at the dinner and tries to blackmail Frank and Cora with Cora's confession. Frank and Cora turn the tables on Kennedy and they burn the confession along with Kennedy's photos of it. While Frank guards Kennedy, Cora finds out about Madge. Enraged, she threatens to tell the police the truth, but then she reveals that she is pregnant with Frank's baby. Frank and Cora get married and then take a trip to the beach, during which Cora feels sick. While rushing Cora to the hospital, Frank gets into a car accident and kills Cora. He is convicted of murder. Frank reveals that he has been writing the novel's narrative in prison and he asks the reader to pay for him as he is taken away for execution. So, friends and viewer, this is the story of the Postman Always Rings Twice. This is the story. Actually, a movie was also made by this on this novel, and James M. Cain, the writer of this movie, is. So, major character involved in this novel is Frank Chambers, adult male, 24 years old, good looking for love, uses his fist readily, drifter, jack of all trades, small time criminal. The other character is Nick Papadakis, adult male, Greek ancestry, middle aged, trusting, naive. Cora Papadakis, adult female, Nick's wife, attractive in a hard way, passionate, feels she's still paying for a mistake she made in her youth, runs the Twins OK Tavern with her husband. Mr. Katz, adult male, little guy, about 40 years old, even asleep he looked like he knew more than most guys. Mr. Sackett, adult male, big man, breezy manner, district attorney. Patrick Kennedy, adult male, Kate's crony, eventual blackmailer of Nick and Cora. Madge Allen, adult female. So these are the characters involved in this novel. Level of violence, Frank and Cora have a violent love relationship. They plan Nick's murder with little emotion. There are several fights, blows to the head, beating, self-inflicted wounds for the sake of making the murder look like an accident. One attempted electrocution, automobile accident, violent episode are described briefly in this matter-of-fact terms. So this is the novel and the character of this novel, The Postman Always Rings Twice. by James M. Cain. I hope you will enjoy this novel.